Progressivism, reform for the people. Progressive ideas were around before the 20th century with the Greenback Labor Party of the 1870s and the Populist Party of the 1890s, but this video is concerned with the early part of the 1900s after the end of the Gilded Age and before things got crazy in the 1920s. These were not good times if you were not fabulously rich, as most people were not. The majority of the population worked in poor conditions and were paid little for their troubles. The progressive movement is what came about when these workers started to complain and ask for some basic rights, such as shorter workdays and higher pay, among other things. The progressives also took up causes that weren't necessarily related to labor, but that would improve the lives of the poor, such as an income tax instead of a tariff and more control over government officials. The problem, though, is that these poor workers were effectively nobody. The wealthy with all their money and power didn't even have to worry about the government. All it took was a few well-placed dollars for the government to turn a blind eye. There was hope, however, in the form of the muckrakers. These were journalists and writers who basically investigated all the bad stuff going on. Their work, such as The Jungle by Upton Sinclair, captured the attention of the American people. And so they elected a progressive president, Teddy Roosevelt. He earned the nickname Trustbuster because he began taking down monopolies using the Sherman Antitrust Act. He also passed a number of progressive laws. Roosevelt was followed by a much larger Republican, William Howard Taft. Taft actually busted more trusts in less time than Roosevelt, but he was generally a poor leader, and his greatest contribution was splitting the Republican Party between Taft supporters and Roosevelt supporters. This allowed the 1912 presidential election to go to Woodrow Wilson, another progressive but also a Democrat. In his 2 terms, Wilson passed a number of reforms, such as disability insurance for federal employees and an 8-hour workday for railroad employees, but then World War I happened and the country was busy dealing with more pressing issues. But we'll get to that later.